Outside of Felicity, who's now back in third. Intensify and Rupert's Promise. Then comes Elusive Melody, and Zenyatta is closing nicely in the center of the track. Caramel Coffee has the lead, but you better take a look at Zenyatta to run by and do it nicely. Caramel Coffee left in second. Zenyatta.
Hello, it's Bob Pandolfo on Monday, June 23rd, 2025. Welcome to Power Pace with Pandy. It's a hot day in the Northeast. I guess they're going to cancel some of the races. They already canceled parks. I want to talk about Pedigree Handicapping. That was, by the way, Zenyatta winning her debut at Hollywood Park, going 6.5 furlongs. It's amazing how a big horse like that was actually could sprint, could do anything. But anyway, let's get to some Pedigree Handicapping. Can you handicap? Can you win money consistently handicapping using Pedigree Handicapping? To me, as a spot play system, probably not recommended to just concentrate just on pedigrees. There's people who claim they can do that, but as part of the overall handicapping pictures, there's times when you just kind of have to use it. I mean, if you're playing something like a pick four and you want to go for the big payoffs with all the turf racing and the maiden racing, it's hard to not to use pedigrees, because every time there's a maiden race or a turf race, if you're not looking, if you don't know anything about pedigrees, you're going to miss a lot of winners. But I want to talk about a couple of horses. Now, yesterday at Belmont at the Big A, I had a horse who was my best bet, Fiery, in the first race. He had run 3 times. And I'm going to show you the PPs. I thought this was a really interesting race because some people that dismissed this horse were saying, well, he's bred for, she's bred for turf. And it's just now they're going on dirt. So if she didn't run well on turf, I don't want her. That's what they were saying. When I first saw this horse, when I was handicapping this race, my first impression was this horse is not bred for turf. So then I thought to myself, well, they raced the horse on turf 3 races in a row. Why did they do that? Because this is not, Sharp Azteca is not like a great turf sire by any means, and neither is, and Freeze and Fire is not a great turf influence either, the Dam's sire. So I looked at the Dam Fire Key, right? If you look at Fire Key, here's her record. She was a multiple stakes winning sprinter in New York on turf. And you can see she won, I think, here it shows 8 wins on turf. I think she won 9 races, but I think one of them may have been on dirt. But these were like New York bred stakes races. She won the Floral Park, license fee. She didn't win any graded stakes races. But she was a very nice turf sprinter. So because of that, the people were thinking, well, she has good turf pedigree. It depends how you look at it. Just because the Dam was good on turf, the way I look at pedigree handicapping, I want to see a turf sire. First of all, to me, that's the most important thing. Even more important than whether the Dam was good on the surface. And I also prefer to see good or pretty good turf breeding on both of these, the sire and the Dam sire. And this is not good turf breeding. Now the fact that she was out of Fire Key, I get that. Like Fire Key was a stakes winning New York bred, and this is a New York bred filly. But I looked up Fire Key to see if she had foaled any turf winners, and this was her first foal. That from what I can find, this is her first foal. It's Fiery. So far she has one foal who's raced on turf 3 times and hasn't done anything. Now, if you take Fire Key and breed her to a horse by Medaglia, you breed her to Medaglia d'Oro or a horse like that, that may produce a different step, a different situation. But if you look at the pedigree here, there's certainly some turf. If New York bred, like Freud is a decent New York bred influence, and there's a Northern Dancer line going all the way back. But again, just to really focus on us realistically, Sharp Azteca, the sire, was a multiple stakes winning dirt horse. Freeze and Fire, the Dam sire, was a multiple stakes winning dirt horse. They were not turf horses, and they're not turf influences as far as I can say. I mean, if you think I'm wrong, you can correct me. I welcome any comments. But they were dirt horses. That's what they did in their careers. They won dirt races, and they were nice horses. They were both really good horses. So to me, the first thing I said, it doesn't look like turf pedigree. This horse could improve on dirt. Now, of course, the other thing is this horse fit my system. Those of you may have heard of my system, Pro Simulcast. It's like a booklet that I used to sell in a booklet form. Now I sell it in a PDF form because I printed many copies over the years, and now I just sell a PDF. But this fit one of the systems. There's like 5 different spot play drop-down systems in Pro Simulcast. The best one was this particular, this fit the parameters in that book, Pro Simulcast. So this was a system play. She was making a first start for a tag. She was taking blinkers off. Now, another thing I noticed too is that she had 3 bullet workouts over dirt. All right, here she is on the Gulfstream main track, 47 bullet. She's on the Gulfstream main track here at 47 and 3 bullet, best of 45. Here she has a bullet, best of 66. So she had 3 bullets workouts, and good ones too, because it wasn't like she was best of 5 or best of, she's best of 45, best of 66, best of 25. And then she comes to New York and she breezes nicely, and here she's racing obviously against better, and she didn't get the greatest trip. You can see it says they're briefly steadied. So she comes into this race, they make first off for a tag, all right? Ryerson has done well, 24% winners first time for a maiden race. They're taking blinkers off. They switch to Lascano, so she's getting, look at Lascano in sprints, 21%. He's known for turf sprints, turf races in general. Anyway, I mean he's one of the top riders. So here you're getting a positive rider change, first time turf for a horse that really is bred both sides to run on dirt. First time dirt, I should say. First time tag, blinkers off, good workouts, showed bullet workouts over the dirt. So I mean, it depends how you look at it. But to me, I was thinking to myself, this is a horse that should improve on dirt. And she went easy. She stalked and she drew out, paid $6.70. The time was fast, but the track was very fast yesterday. The obvious horse who I had second, Collie saw him finish second, and the exact to pay like $12.60. I ended up having the double, which was like, I mean, you can only play 2 horses in the second race, the 1 or the 2. I just keyed in on the 1 Empty Tomb because I didn't think Caffrey could hang on again. He had been racing really well. But I just thought, he was going to get caught this time. And Empty Tomb was the only horse that could really stay with him early. This was a really good ride by Franco. So anyway, that's one situation where pedigree came into play. And again, it's not just the dam. And the sires are important. Sire is very, very important. Now, I want to look at another horse. And this is really interesting too. There was a horse that won at Belmont in April. Now I put this horse. The horse's name was Alan Turing. The horse's name was Alan Turing. Now this was in the 8th race, the last race on a Friday. I did put this horse in my selections, like underneath. It was the 9th race. I picked 4 horses, and I put him 4th. Just to give people an idea that I think this horse has a chance, or throw him in your, exotics. I thought the horse would probably go off like 15-1 or something. When the race came up, I wasn't paying attention, and I didn't throw anything on the horse, which was really stupid. The horse paid $101.50. I mean, this was kind of ridiculous. I mean, it was only the horse's second start, right? Second start, a lot of horses improved sharply. The horse had raced on dirt the first time in a sprint. And this is, a terrible dirt sprint pedigree. Sadler's Wells is a horse, with turf influence for running all day long. And here, it was a 1-mile turf race. Horses like this can improve sharply because this is, not a good dirt pedigree, first of all. It's a very good turf pedigree. You can see the dam had 4 winners from 5 starters and 3 turf winners. Sadler's Wells is, fantastic turf influence. You can see here 15% on turf, 16% first on turf. Omaha Beach, just to give you an idea, here's the leading turf sires this year, right? You scroll down and Omaha Beach is ranked number 14. So, and what's interesting too, if you look at the pedigree on this horse, you have Warfront, right? First of all, the Northern Dancer line is one of the best turf influences in the history of the sport. Danzig, when you see Danzig in there, I mean, you can't get much better. Anytime you see Danzig in there, you know, and this is Danzig not all the way back. I mean, this is Danzig, you know, in the second line, you know, the line of the pedigree. You know, you have the third, I'm sorry, because you have Omaha Beach, Warfront, and then Danzig, and then, of course, the Great Northern Dancer. But Danzig, amazing. And here you have Saddle of the Wells, of course, you know, Northern Dancer again. And, you know, Warfront, who is the sire of Omaha Beach, is still a sire and is ranked 20th in the country right now. So you had two of the top 20 sires in this horse's pedigree line. Warfront, Omaha Beach. Sadler's Wells is, you know, an older horse who I don't think Sadler's Wells. I think he's retired now, but you know, an outstanding turf horse, outstanding turf influence. So this was just one of those situations. Now, can you bet this horse? You know, this horse was 10-1. Would I have bet the horse? No. And you know, but I mean, people that understand pedigrees, when you see a horse like this second time out, I mean, first time on turf, horse that is not bred at all for dirt, ran once on dirt, didn't do much, 100 and 150. Now, like I said, I did put the horse underneath in my selections. I listed the horse. So this is the type of thing. All right, maybe you're not going to play horses like this that have, you know, this kind of, you know, one race and didn't do much, you know, lost by 21 lengths. But if you're playing pick fours, pick fives, you know, things like that, and you're throwing horses in, you know, you came up to this race, you have to include this horse. I mean, with this kind of pedigree, proven dam, produced winners, you know, turf racing on both sides. Look at the turf figure here, 115, that's high. You know, anything from, you know, 110 or higher is good. 115 and higher is very good. For, you know, for these brisnet turf numbers they have here. So again, that's the type of thing, and you know, so the funny thing is too is I want you know, look, handicapping and betting horses is entertainment, you know, and if you ignore pedigree, right, you don't know anything about pedigree, it's not as much fun, you know, like for the people that bet this horse that day, and they looked at it and they said, oh wow, this is great, look at this horse is going off at 50-1, I'm going to bet him. And he wins, you're never going to forget that. You're going to be like, I got that horse because I knew that horse had good turf pedigree, you know, and it paid $101, you know. I mean, it's fun. It's fun. And, of course, if you hooked it up in a pick four or something, then you're really happy because, you know, the numbers were really good in all the late payoffs here. 50-cent pick four paid $4,800, you know. So, but these are, you know, these are situations where, you know, turf pedigrees and dirt pedigrees, just knowing something about pedigrees, it can be fun, it can be profitable in if you use it in the right way. I don't think that just saying, well, I'm going to be a pedigree, you know, better, and just bet horses on pedigree, that's probably not going to work, you know, because a lot of horses are bred well for turf and, you know, they don't do anything on turf, or, you know, they're bred extremely well and they don't do anything at all. You know, they come out in maiden races, these beautiful horses, they have great pedigrees, and you know, it turns out they can't run that well. The best way to you know, evaluate a horse is to see him run. In this situation, though, when you have a horse at 50-1 who has a you know, really bad dirt pedigree, and you know, he's making his first start on turf, it was worth a shot, and like I said, certainly to throw in there. But it's a lot of fun. I mean, that's the thing. Pedigree, it's fun. You know. It's part of handicapping. It's just another part. That's what makes it interesting and entertaining. You know, it's just another factor, and that's, you know, another reason why turf racing is very popular. You know, there's more turf racing now in the United States than in North America than there's been ever. I mean, the handle in turf races is very good. They have big fields. Usually, if the handle is higher in races, that means bettors like those races, and the handle is high in turf races. It just is. People know that you can get these good payoffs. So, but anyway, I just wanted to, do a little pedigree handicapping today. I would appreciate if you could subscribe to my channel. I appreciate that you tuned into my video. If you subscribe to my channel, it's free, and it's just, gives me the opportunity to do more videos, which I will be doing. And lots of luck, and thanks for tuning in.